Yeah, that's the look of despair and hopelessness. Hello everyone and welcome to this video. This is a build guide for a barbarian lockdown build. Sort of a crowd control build that uses a barbarian. So typically barbarians have a very damage oriented style of play. This character is all about preventing your opponents from moving, and in some cases even preventing them from taking actions at all. So how do we do that? It's very simple. I have this built on Karlach, but the main thing we're working around is this level 6 ability of the Wild Heart Barbarian aspect of the beast. So there's a few different aspects you can pick, and this one right here is the one we're using, aspect of the beast Wolverine. It has this text: when you attack a bleeding or poisoned target, you also maim it for 1 turn. Now what does maimed do? A target that is maimed has its movement speed reduced to 0, it has disadvantage on dexterity saving throws, and this effect is removed by healing. So this is a really versatile battlefield control ability because it has no resource cost. So this is a passive feature that you have active at all times. You can simply run around the battlefield, smack people, and make it so they can't move. And the only condition is you need to have them bleeding or poisoned. You don't even have to be raging for this. Luckily, we have a very easy way to apply bleed on this same subclass, which is the level 3 ability, Tiger Heart. So the Tiger Heart Rage has this nice ability here, Tiger's Bloodlust, lash out to attack up to 3 enemies at once and make them bleed. So this is a really interesting build, very unusual way of playing the Barbarian. I'm going to show you the build I have and then give you some examples of the strategies you can use for this. Alright, I'm going to walk through the build for this character from levels 1 through 6. Level 6 is when it kind of fully comes online. That's when you get Aspect of the Beast Wolverine, which is the key ability for the character. And at that point, you have a few different directions you can take the character. So I'm just going to walk you through the base, the sort of base build. So level 1, you're a Barbarian. Your ability scores, sort of typical Barbarian ability spread. I'm doing this on Karlach, and her base ability spread works just fine. A little bit better, in my opinion, to even out these ability scores. Main thing is you just want your strength to be high because you apply your debuffs by hitting people. So you want to be hitting them. If you do this on your main character, you may want to raise your strength to 18 with a certain item you get in Act 1. Otherwise, you'll raise your strength with one of your second feats. The first feat is actually not going to be an ability score increase, as I will show you in a moment. All right, so level 2, the main thing we get is just Reckless Attack. Reckless Attack is really useful for this build because we want to be hitting, as I mentioned. So being able to give ourselves advantage whenever we want is very useful to that goal. The other interesting thing about this character is because we're locking enemies in place, we can mitigate some of the downside of reckless attacking. Normally enemies will have advantage to hit us, but if they can't move, then they might not be able to hit us at all if we just move out of the way. Now you may be asking, well, what if they have an opportunity attack? And I will show you that the solution to that at level 4. All right, at level 3, we just want to pick the Wild Heart subclass, and for our Bestial Heart, we want Tiger Heart. This gives us Tiger's Bloodlust, which we can use while raging, which allows us to apply Bleed, which is the necessary condition for applying Maim. If you're taking this character from level 1, I'd actually recommend doing Eagle Heart or Bear Heart at this point in the game when you're level 3. The thing is, this ability is not very good on its own, doesn't do a lot for you until you get Aspect of the Beast Wolverine. And you can change your heart whenever you level up, so you may as well play as an Eagle Heart or a Bear Heart until you hit level 6. Alright, at level 4 we get our feat, and this is the other main ingredient of the build. We're going to take the mobile feat. So the mobile feat gives us a few things. So it increases our movement speed by 10 feet, always nice on a melee character. It allows us to evade difficult terrain when we dash. Honestly, in my experience, this comes up very rarely, hardly at all. No, the main reason we're taking it is for this ability. If you move after making a melee attack, you don't provoke opportunity attacks from your target. So this allows us to really take advantage of the maimed condition because a maimed enemy can't pursue us. So we run up, we maimed them, their movement is now 0, and we can just safely run away. They don't get an opportunity attack, and they can't pursue us on their turn. So if they don't have any good range attacks, just right there, we've taken them out of the fight. They have to just sit there and basically twiddle their thumbs. And if they do have a good range attack, we have some other solutions to that I'll show you in the tactics section. Level 5, nothing too complicated. We get the extra attack feature. Always good on a martial. The main thing that's nice about this is it doubles the amount of enemies that we can apply the maimed condition to, which can really matter in some fights. And then we also get even more fast movement. Level 6, we pick Aspect of the Beast Wolverine, which is the main thing that this build is working around. Alright, so the movement debuff ability of Maim is already very useful, but you can take advantage of it in additional ways by pairing it with some abilities from your party members that go really nicely with it. So I'm going to show you a few of those. The biggest one is if you combine Maimed with the prone condition, you can lock somebody out of combat entirely. So why is that? So prone in this game has some effects that it does not have in tabletop. A prone character can't take actions, reactions, or bonus actions. Normally on their turn, they will just stand up by spending half their movement, but if their movement's 0, then they're unable to stand up, so they'll just do nothing at all and skip their turn entirely. So the most reliable way of applying prone I found is just right here, the trip attack from the Battlemaster fighter. I have Lae'zel Spect as a ranged Battlemaster, so the strategy is Karlach runs in, she sets their movement to 0, Lae'zel trips them, and they are out of the fight for as long as Karlach can keep maimed on them. They just won't stand back up. The other obvious way to take advantage of this is with damage over time effects. So spells like Cloud of Daggers or Spirit Guardians. These are both spells that will do damage each turn. Typically the enemies will move out of them, but if they can't move, they'll just sit there, and you can get extra damage out of them by just locking them inside of its effect. On a similar note, I like the spell Stinking Cloud. With this for two reasons. One, it's normally kind of mediocre because enemies just walk out of the area after the first turn that they lose their action, but this is an easy way to make it so they have to sit there and make additional saves. But also, the bleed effect gives disadvantage on Constitution saves, so they have disadvantage on their save against this spell. And then the last one, and this one is actually really powerful, is the Fog Cloud spell. So I have Shadowheart here, respect as a druid, and the Fog Cloud spell works really well with Maimed, and I'll demonstrate that in the tactics portion of the video. So typically Fog Cloud is very hard to use offensively because if you stick it on somebody, they will just walk out of the cloud. They'll be blinded while they're in it, but there's nothing stopping them from walking out of it. But if they can't move, then they have to just sit there in the cloud. So you can combo it together and take out even enemies with spells or ranged attacks by making it so they can't move, but they have to sit there in the cloud and just waste their turn. This build doesn't have any absolutely mandatory items, but I just want to go through a couple that I think work really well with this build. So the biggest one right here is the Eversight Ring. So the nice thing about this ring is that it allows you to turn that fog cloud that I just mentioned into a one-sided debuff. So you stick your fog cloud on your enemies, then Karlach can run in. She won't be blinded, so she'll have advantage on her attacks, and then she can attack the enemies in the fog cloud and make it so they're stuck there. And then she can safely just walk out of the cloud because she has the mobile feat and won't take opportunity attacks. So really strong combo there. Another one is the Disintegrating Nightwalkers. So I think this one's good on any melee character because it allows your spellcasters to safely cast spells like Entangle and Web without hitting your melee characters. So I mentioned that I respect Shadowheart as a druid, so I can cast Entangle and have Karlach run in there. But the other thing is you can cast a spell like Sleet Storm, create a big area that knocks people prone, and then I already mentioned how good prone is with Maimed. I think there might be some sort of bug or something weird going on with prone. Because sometimes when I apply prone and maimed, the opponent won't stand up, and sometimes they will. So I don't actually know what's going on there, and for some reason, the prone from the ice effect does not seem to be working, at least not consistently. So I'm not 100% sure what that's about, but that is something you can do. And then the last thing is, because this character plays like a CC character, I really put a high value on initiative. So I have two sources of initiative. I'm having her wear the Gloves of Dexterity, that gets us +4, and then the Soulbreaker Greatsword. That gets us an additional +2. And the reason that you want high initiative on this character is against melee opponents, you don't want to give them a chance to dash into range with you. You want to lock them way far away where they can't reach anyone. So in order to do that, you need to go first and act before they do. Another nice thing about the Soulbreaker Greatsword is it gives this weapon ability here. You can stun an enemy, and that's a Constitution save. I already mentioned that Bleed gives disadvantage on Constitution saves, so it's a little more reliable than it would be on another character. So yeah, basically a lot of ways for this character to lock people out of acting. So let's see what some of those look like. Okay, first version of the combo is we're going to try to hit them with prone. So we'll start by raging. Karlach moves into position, hits him with Tiger's Bloodlust, and notice that they are bleeding and maimed. It happens in one hit. Even though Aspect of the Beast Wolverine says that you have to hit a bleeding enemy to apply maimed, apparently the way that it works is you apply bleeding and maimed with the same hit. So Karlach has basically done all that I need from her. I could attack again, but just to show you how simple this is, I'm just going to move her out of position. Takes no opportunity attacks because of the mobile feat. And then we move to Lae'zel, who has this trip attack. And hopefully this hits. Okay, perfect. So they are now prone. So yeah, this fight is over. We have won this fight because, as I will show you, they do not get the opportunity to take another action for the rest of combat. They're prone, so they can't take actions, and they're maimed, so they can't stand up from prone. So just to show you what that looks like. Yep, see, just skipped her turn. Yeah, that's the look of despair and hopelessness. So we can move into position, hit her again to reapply maimed. And once again, she's just not going to act. So something nice about this interaction is that bleeding, when we apply that, it lasts for 2 turns. Maimed only, it lasts for 1. But maimed, we don't even have to hit them to apply. We just have to attack them. So in order to keep this lockdown going, we only have to hit them 1 time every 2 turns. And we're attacking twice with extra attack, and we're attacking with an advantage. So the odds that she ever breaks out of this are just next to nothing. So another turn skipped, and I mean, I could have everyone else contribute, but there's really no need. This fight is already over. It's just a matter of finishing her off. Alright, I'm going to show you another combo that you can do with Maimed and Bleed that uses the Stinking Cloud spell. So I'm going to go ahead and start raging, have Karlach move up here, apply the conditions to both of them, and then she's going to move out of melee, no opportunity attacks, and then we're going to have my Bard here cast Stinking Cloud, and they have disadvantage on their save because they're bleeding. So hopefully they both fail. So they're both nauseous, so they will do nothing on their turn. Alright, and then normally enemies would just walk out of the cloud on their turn, but they're unable to do that because of Maimed. So we can reapply that, keep them in place, and they'll just have to keep making the save every turn. And they might succeed eventually, but, you know, they're going to be dying ordinarily, but I'm just having no one else do anything for the sake of demonstration. Oh, and they failed again. Alright, I want to show you another combo that you can use when you're fighting enemies with ranged attacks. So these enemies here have the ability to cast spells, and they also have the ability to shoot arrows. So if I run up and maim them, I can set their movement to 0, but that doesn't actually prevent them from hurting my party. They still have the ability to attack us. So what do? Well, it's going to require a little bit of help from our team. But first we want to run up and do the same thing we have been doing. So we're going to run up and apply maimed. So I think I can hit them both. Yes. All right, they're both maimed. This again. All right. Missed one of them, but that's okay. Then move out of melee range. And then Shadowheart is going to cast Fog Cloud right here. And so they're both blinded with no saving throw. And the nice thing about Fog Cloud, or about the blinded condition, is that it makes it so your ranged attacks have a maximum range of 10 feet. So as long as Karlach stands more than 10 feet away, they just simply can't attack her at all. And actually, just to demonstrate one other thing, I'm immune to blind because of this Eversight ring here. So it works really nice with this Fog Cloud combo, because when I move in next turn in order to reapply maimed, I'm not going to be getting penalized for being blinded. So just move out of here and show you what this looks like.
Stay focused.
Can't even catch my breath.
So yep, both of them just skip their turn. There's nothing they can do. So Karlach's going to move back in and should be able to hit both of them. And same thing. Maimed and maimed. And we can just do that for the rest of the fight, and they will have no opportunity to break out unless we somehow manage to fail to reapply bleed 2 turns in a row. So let's just go through this. And there you have it, another combat where the enemies didn't take a single action the entire combat. I mean, this is a little gimmicky because normally I'd be having the rest of my party participate, but I just want to demonstrate that it really is a true lockdown. They're just not going to act. All right, the last thing I wanted to show you is an item that normally is next to useless, but is actually really good for this character, and that's spiked bulbs. They deal 1 damage. It's a throwing item that deals 1 damage in an area of effect and makes all nearby creatures bleed. So that's actually really good for this character because you can also inflict maim. So let's see what that looks like. So notice that every single one of these people that I hit bleeding, they're also maimed. And as far as I know, well, this one was maimed but healed himself. I'm not sure why he was able to do that outside of the initiative order. Maybe because he can't see me. But they didn't get any saving throw, and there was no, like, there wasn't even an attack roll. It just was guaranteed apply maimed from range. So this only occurred to me very recently, but I'm going to start using this in tough fights because it seems really useful to be able to, like, guaranteed lock some enemies in place in an AoE effect. That just seems really good. You can buy these from Omolum in the Myconid colony. I don't know if his stock refreshes. I haven't tested that yet, but if it does, you know I'm going to be using this all the time. Alright, and that's everything I have for this character build. So I'd be curious to hear your thoughts if you have any other creative ways of using the maimed condition, or if you have thoughts about the power of this build. I mean, one caveat I will just say before signing off is that the power level of this build really depends on what you're fighting. And the reason for that is that some enemies are immune to bleed, and most notably, undead. So the sort of funny thing about this build is you get it right at level 6, and it's really strong at level 6, but then you get into Act 2, and then it becomes very hit or miss, because you are running into a lot of undead that you simply can't apply maim to because you can't apply bleed to them. I have I've still gotten a lot of value out of it. There's, pretty much everything other than undead and constructs can be maimed. So still gotten a lot of value out of it, and I suspect that once I get out of Act 2, the enemies that are immune are going to become very rare again, but we'll have to see. I haven't gone to Act 3 yet. So, I'll go ahead and end this video here, and let me know what you think in the comments.